I've never been more right of anything. And listen, being right is not that important. You should be interesting in radio, but I got to be honest. I have been really right on this topic. Carmelo Anthony's been fool's gold from day one. Carmelo Anthony is the store everybody says they shop at but goes out of business. They're Barnes & Noble. It sounds smart to say, I'm going to Barnes & Noble today, going to get some books and read. But you bought your books at Amazon.com. Carmelo Anthony is a farmer's market. Oh, my God, they make their own soap. Honey. Okay, it's $600 for a thimble. But the food here, honey, we need kumquat, don't we? He's a farmer's market. But there's a reason stores thrive and farmer's markets mostly don't. It's called preservatives. You don't have to eat your food within 40 minutes of getting home if you go to Whole Foods. In the end, Carmelo Anthony, everybody wants to play with Carmelo Anthony. That's what they say. And nobody buys their books at Barnes & Noble, and that's why Whole Foods still exists. Carmelo Anthony was ranked 64th best player according to ESPN's NBA rank. He went nuts. He was furious. Lonzo Ball was one spot ahead of him. Doug Gottlieb, you played college hoops at the highest level. What do you make of Carmelo freaking out about this player ranking?
Well, if you really want something, us to not pay attention to something, don't draw our attention to it, right? Pretend like it doesn't exist. I mean, look, if a list has Lonzo Ball, who is yet to be a drop in the NBA, ahead of you on that list, the list lacks credibility. I'm not disputing what you're saying about Melo. Okay? He's a great mid-range scorer who doesn't play any defense in an era in which it's all about ball movement. He's the ultimate ball stopper. Okay? He's a player from a foregone era. You're right. His teams have torpedoed, have sunk the last couple of years. And the fact is that though they got rid of Phil Jackson and everybody thought that would keep Kristaps Porzingis happy, it hasn't, and that's because he pollutes the water wherever he is.
Yes.
All of that is accurate. But if the list has Lonzo Ball ahead of him, the list has no credibility. And when NBA players, Carmelo especially, bring attention to it, you're giving it credibility. So my advice would be pretend like it doesn't exist. Pretend like it's writers that don't know anything about basketball. But it's closer to the truth than it is to fiction.
By the way, Lonzo does have more MVPs. It's a summer league, but
come on.
That's what I told Kristine this morning. She's like, Colin, that doesn't count.
Well, the guy has literally not played a minute in the NBA. How can you rank him above Carmelo,
but let me
who's
just,
an all-star?
It's absolutely point right.
Yeah.
But let me just throw this out. If I said to you, what's the best current culture in the NBA, most of us would probably say like Golden State.
Right.
Okay, here's what Golden State does well. So I want everybody to think about this. They play well with others. They shoot threes, egos aside, play defense, and self-aware. He doesn't check. Carmelo checks none of those boxes.
Oh, I'm not disputing that. And like, look, the mistake that Phil Jackson made wasn't re-signing Melo. He probably felt like he had to. That was probably an edict from above. It was the no-trade clause. But I think in his mind, he thought if it ever goes bad, he'll waive the no-trade clause. Here's the point that you made, which is probably the smartest one. He's friends with LeBron James, right? And the discussion is not about him. He doesn't want to go to Cleveland, and Cleveland hasn't openly opined for Carmelo Anthony. And if Cleveland, who has a very young and impressionable general manager, wants to keep LeBron James, wouldn't it stand to reason that LeBron would go in and say, like, hey, go get Carmelo. That's the last piece.
And they don't.
And he hasn't done that.
Yep.
Tells you all you need to know. If your boys don't want you, then who possibly could? I mean, this is why Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job. Okay, it's because if Colin Kaepernick can't get a job with the Baltimore Ravens when they need a backup quarterback, and you have a Harbaugh as head coach, and you got Greg Roman as offensive coordinator, who he played for in San Francisco, if he doesn't want you, then who possibly could want you? If guys that have worked with you before don't want to work with you, it says all you need to know about working with you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.